We are beginning chapter 49. Chapter 49 in one word, simtsumim, contractions. We're speaking about God as creator, and we continue on that notion of what, so to speak, God does in order to create a world. And although there are many tzimtzumim, contractions, upon the infinite divine light of God, there are three basic ones. The worlds of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. The worlds of Bria translates as creation, Yetzira is formation, Asiya is a world of action. And they're all spiritual worlds to begin with. In the world of Atzilus, there is not such a powerful contraction, because the world of Atzilus is a world of emanation. It's not creation yet. Creation suggests ex nihilo, something from nothing. Emanation, I give as an example like one's aura. One's aura is not something you do. It's not you, but it's your aura. And there's what you do. So with God, as it were, there's God, the aura, which is the emanation of God, the world of Atzilus, which the souls and the angels are not separate, but totally bound up in one with the divine. And then there's the creative force that starts with the world of Bria, which means creation. And there's very powerful contractions. So powerful are the contractions that they create souls and beings that have a separateness. Even though the world of Bria is a world of comprehension, comprehending the divine, but that comprehension suggests that there's someone who is comprehending. There's an entity that comprehends. That means there's a separation. As a result, the world of Yetzirah is even greater. The world of Asiya is even greater. So much so is the contraction on the divine light and vitality so powerful between each of the worlds that there is almost no recognition from one world to the next. Now, why is God doing this? Think about it. God is infinite, finite, infinite, beyond any form of contraction, bringing down the light. Why is he doing it? He's doing it for me and you. In a sense, in a figure of speech, God is putting aside his agenda. That's a terrible word to use because God doesn't have an agenda. So excuse me. I don't know how to speak about the divine except using that term, right? God's putting aside his agenda. What's his agenda? So to speak, infinite, beyond. And he puts that all aside, contracting on himself, putting him, so to speak, aside, in order to make me and you a lowly individual, that ultimately we feel our independence, separateness from God, in order that we should ultimately come to connect to him through our divine service, that we should cleave to him, connect to him. This concept is that God is doing it out of a love for us, which is interesting. Love usually is about an expansiveness. Love propels you to give, to be kind, to bestow kindness on your beloved. That's usually how we understand love. But here it's the opposite. Here, the love is compelling the flesh, as it were. It's contracting on God. It's making God more obscure, minimized. The light of God smaller to such an extent that there's a me. In my perception, me, myself, and I am. So, again, this is contrary, real love as a result of this means, I'm saying this parenthetically in human relations, is not about me giving, but it's about me being able to stand aside, compel the flesh, squeeze yourself, make yourself smaller, and make room for the other that you love. That's a deeper love. That's what God is expressing by the fact that he's contracting on his infinite. He could stay in the world of Atsilos with the lofty souls that kind of, are of his making, or not his making, his, because it's not making, of his type. Again, we're using human terms that don't apply on this level, but we're human and therefore, what other terms can we use? But he compels, so to speak, himself, compels the flesh, not that God is a flesh also, of course, but that's the concept over here, to contract upon himself, to conceal himself and his great infinite light for my sake, that I should be an independent being that now could seek out God and connect to him. So the point over here is God put everything aside of his nature, infinite being, to create a finite world, a finite being, me, so I could have a real relationship with God as opposed to the rest of creation, right? Animals included, rocks, vegetation, that I could choose that relationship. So now that if that's what God did for me, I have to reciprocate. And this is where the reciprocal relationship is coming in. He renounces his natural being to create a finite physical world and me. So I should renounce my natural world for him. Reciprocate. What does that mean? I renounce meaning I'm ready to give up my human condition in order to reciprocate the love that he is showing me. Anything that's going to be a hindrance from within or from without, I'm ready to renounce that. Meaning, not body or soul, not money, not even my children and my loved ones, right? That the human condition will dictate that I will, want that human relationship. I'm ready to, renounce is not the right word, I'm sorry. I'm ready to put it aside and to give myself over to God and transcend the human condition, so that my love for God will be so beyond me in my humanness, in the humanness meaning the human condition, that I am ready now to express that love that is for God, for my wife and children, and for everything in my life, that will be in a divine way. and not just the human feelings. So in other words, just as God, so to speak, the love compels him to contract, I will compel myself and contract myself in such a way that I can put aside me, my human condition, and to be able to have a love for God that will reflect in the love for my spouse, the love for my children, that's not based on a human need, but of a divine quality. That's what we're talking about here. That's very powerful. More on that to come. More on that to come. Stay tuned. Today's Lag Baimer. Let us celebrate with the Rashbi, who is the originator of these ideas, or many of these ideas at least, in the teachings of the Zohar. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. As I share with you, please share with others. Rise beyond the human condition that maybe sometimes it's not so comfortable that I show myself that, oh, I'm learning this stuff with this guy. So maybe sometimes we need to be able to rise beyond that. And that's an expression of the love of God that, we express for the love of others and share with them something that is truly meaningful. So much here and so much more to share. Have a wonderful Lag Baimer. Thank you for joining.